creative people from comics, film, TV, music, and video game industries. And I'm your host, Rachel Rock. We are on episode 352, talking with the awesome Brian Crowley, creator of the comic Hamster Rage. How are you today, Brian?
I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm excellent. So we're here talking about your comic Hamster Rage. So what exactly is Hamster Rage and when did it begin?
I started Hamster Rage in 2010. I launched it around the time of the first C2E2. Hamster Rage is about a superheroine named Megababe who has a childhood pet hamster that comes back and into the present and has similar power sets as hers and causes all kinds of trouble for her. And so she's kind of dealing with that and how to deal with him. And right now, we're at the point in the comic where she had told him to stay still and to stay set and not cause any trouble. And another, a big monster kind of guy started causing trouble in the city, and Roosevelt's now in the middle of a battle with him. And that's where we're at presently.
I'm excited to see what that episode has.
Yeah.
So what genre would you consider Hamster Rage to be?
I would definitely say it's in the quirky superhero, funny superhero type of genre. I would say that's kind of where it is.
And who's your target audience?
I think I said last time, my wife and I talked with a lot of women in their 30s to 40s who seem to really take to the character and really like the character, and as well as, but there are a lot of different younger teens and young men and women and all kinds of different age categories, and kids that also seem to really like it and take to it pretty well.
So why do you think it applies to these demographics, like these certain types of people?
I think that the childlike nature of the main character is cute, and I think that kids relate to that. They relate to kind of not knowing their surroundings and not really causing trouble and not maybe intending to cause trouble. I think that's a pretty common kid experience.
Exactly.
So I think that's why.
So I saw online that on your blog that Roosevelt was initially supposed to be two characters. So why did you combine him into being one?
Yeah. So I had this small small kind of hamster cartoony character that I used to draw when I was a kid, and then I had this big tiger character, Tigeron, that I still will use eventually in Hamster Rage. And I think that young men and women, when they're younger, I think when you're creating things and you're trying to project things out from yourself, you try to make them very badass and very just the best and amazing at everything. And I think as I got older, I realized that was actually not very interesting.
Yeah.
And it was much more interesting to have the flaws and the damage and kind of the emotional vulnerability. And so going back to like that childlike, smaller character and combining those two made sense. It gave vulnerability to the bigger, tougher kind of character, which I think is much more interesting.
And I'm sure so many more people can relate to that as well.
Yeah, exactly. So, and it gives it an awkwardness to them as well.
Which everybody experiences, so.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Have you always been an artist? Because I read also on your blog that you didn't color the comics initially because you felt that it was awful, and now you're starting to add color?
Well, so what happened was I did the first two. Initially, I did the first two colors of the comics, and I was like, I'm slow and I'm not very good at this. And then Rochelle Rosenberg, who colors for Marvel, she colored it, and so there's a guy named Mark Lewis who also did some colors for it, and that did pretty well. And then for a little bit, I colored it again, and it was okay. And then recently, my friend Randy Field and I started talking, and he's been doing the colors, and he's been doing a fantastic job with it.
That looks awesome.
Yeah, I'm just too slow. And quite frankly, he's a much better colorist than I am. I'm not a very good colorist, and I think that's partly because that's partly just time dedication on my part. I'd rather be doing the writing and the drawing, and I think comics is inherently a team activity.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, you have some amazing ideas, so.
Yeah, thank you very
You
much.
can't win everything.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
So I noticed there's some songs in some of the comics. There's "In a Big Country."
Yeah,
It's one of
yeah.
the songs that he sings, and you said that it brings a smile to your face. So, do you bring certain aspects of your life and apply them to your comics?
Yeah, I mean, I actually the fight scene that I have going on right now, I originally wanted to put in a modern pop song into it, but I just realized that and I was like, oh, that doesn't quite work. I originally had this idea of them going into a dance club, like them crashing into a dance club type thing, and people like be would be dancing around as they were fighting in the middle of it, and like some modern pop song would be playing, like some Katy Perry song or something like
Yeah.
that. And then I decided, no, that's because I just kind of changed it around. But I love music, and I want to try to bring that in as much as possible. I don't know how successful I was
Oh,
in the
really
beginning.
successful.
Oh, it was. It worked. Good.
Yeah.
But I definitely will probably do that more because I like doing that. That's a fun thing to do.
So, do you
Um,
keep your viewers' thoughts in mind while you're doing the comics, or do you just come up with your ideas and just hope that it'll apply to someone out there?
I try to think about what I wanna read and what I would find interesting, and then just and think that I think I've got tastes that are pretty similar to what other people like, and I just try to map it off of that. But I don't. But I try to also then. I also realize that like the stuff that I respond to most is stuff that has um, a commercial sensibility that's mixed with an artistic integrity.
Yeah,
And so I try to make sure that I maintain both of those with it. So
you definitely do.
thanks. Thank you.
There are various characters throughout the comic. I noticed as the Halloween Man.
Yeah.
Are those friends of yours that are doing other comics? Because I know that Halloween Man also is another comic.
Yeah, that's my friend Drew Edwards, who's been a friend for a long time. Who when I was doing it, I was like, I asked him, I was like, hey, do you mind if I borrow him? And I borrowed Honor Brigade from Tom Stillwell, and I had to borrow Love Bunny and Mr. Hell from Tim
Yes.
Seeley because I have bugged Tim forever about I love that character. I love those characters. I
Yeah.
think tonally they match exactly what I kind of have been wanting to do. So I was like, yeah, that just matches perfectly. So I just like doing that. I always want like my character has appeared over on P.I. Jane like as a Halloween mask, and I always want to share and play with other people's toys and have them play with my toys. I like.
Like Roosevelt appeared in any other comics other than the one you just mentioned?
He appeared in P.I. Jane. He appeared. I drew him into. I did a little short story for Hoax Hunters,
Okay.
like a little small, and I drew him as a stuffed toy into it, like a mom holding a stuffed toy of him. So
Mhm.
he's appeared in that way. I don't. There's one or two other people that I know drew him into some other minor thing, but I'm not remembering it off the top of my head.
So
So.
are these friends of yours, or have you met them at conventions in the past and you've just discussed ideas?
Tony Maldonado, who does P.I. Jane, is a friend of mine. So
Okay.
he's drawn. He actually did this a couple of years, like 2 or 3 years ago, did this killer drawing of Roosevelt and Lobstar and Megababe, and I was just like, oh my god, these are great. Like I was like, these are better. This is way better. I wish I was as good a cartoonist as he is. Just did a great job on them.
Yeah. Well, I'm
Um,
sure it collaborates all the fan bases as well, being able to have the other characters involved within the stories.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and it's so much fun. Like I said, I have I love being able to play with other people's characters, and I love anybody who were to ask me, if they wanted to borrow Roosevelt, I'd be like, yeah, sure, just don't have them. Just my rules would be just don't have them do anything rated R, and don't have them murder anybody or anything like that.
Exactly.
That's it. So, you know.
So what rating, speaking of which, do you think applies to your comics? Like, who do you think it's acceptable for?
I think I try to say that it's all ages, but I would say probably like if I were to give it like a firm like movie style rating, I would say it's a PG-13 type of rating. I think it's more. I mean, my sensibility tends to be more G, but I know that there are some people that just a woman character having cleavage makes it PG-13 or whatever, which is very weird.
Yes.
But so you know, I think the general sensibility would be PG-13.
Is Roosevelt aware of his size and his monstrous-like abilities? Because it seems within some of the comics that he is not aware of his monster-like abilities, and so I don't know if for future plans, if there's anything planned to make him more aware of him being not socially acceptable.
Yeah, well, definitely, right. What's happening right now with him fighting Lobster, that's definitely going to be something that happens. Like initially, he's not aware at all. He's very childlike and has no sense of himself or his surroundings or what effect he's having on people. But as he and Lobster are fighting, Lobster refers to him as a monster, refers to himself as a monster, and refers to Roosevelt as a monster. And I think that kind of flips the light bulb on in his head, where he goes, "Oh, wait a second, this is, you know," and we'll see what happens as a result of that.
So do you think him realizing this will make him be a little bit different or be a different character, or do you not know yet?
It will definitely changes him, and probably in a way that a lot of people are not going to expect, and that kind of goes back to the vulnerability thing.
Yeah.
You know, I think that I think your typical comic character, being told that they're a monster, their reaction would be to go one way or the other with it. Exactly. I think, you know, they would be like go with it or they'd go against it.
Mm-hmm.
Roosevelt's going to take that third option, and you guys will see what that is.
Well, I'm very excited for your future plans for this and to see what happens with him.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for taking the time to interview with me today.
Absolutely. I'm happy to do it.
And for people that are going to be reading this comic, just an FYI, hamster is not spelled with a P, so just keep that in mind.
That happens
very much.
That happens so often. Oh
my goodness.
All the time. People do that. So yeah,
so keep that in mind. It's Hamster Rage without a P.
I'm gonna make a T-shirt that says that. Hamster. There's no P in hamster. I think that needs to happen.
You definitely need to do that. Confused me.
It happens all the time. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.